Hello everybody, welcome. I got a very interesting video for you to make right now. It is right now November 16th, 2025. And I have this very important announcement. If you love to eat fruit and it's a big part of your diet, some of us can't grow our fruit. We have to get it from the supermarket. And I love persimmons. And here in South Florida, even though I grow a lot of my own fruit, persimmons are something that doesn't thrive in South Florida. There are only two varieties that thrive here. They're tropical persimmons. They need a certain amount of chill hours most persimmons need to grow. Persimmons are wonderful to grow in more colder environments, and California is the probably #1 place to grow persimmons in the United States. And I love persimmons. I always say if I lived in a different time zone, persimmons would be the main crop that I grow. Now, just like any food, there's many different varieties to persimmons. And I'm always seem to be knocking food that's bought from a supermarket, and today I'm going to tell you why. I recently went to Costco, and I was waiting all year for their persimmons because last year they had an amazing display of Fuyu persimmons, and they were $5 for a bag of persimmons, great price. And I went there and I couldn't stop getting their persimmons. It was wonderful. Well, normally I found this farm and they have amazing persimmons. They're called Sweet Georgia Fuyu Persimmons, I believe. I'll put the link below. And I got persimmons from them. The month of October they were loaded, and I was like, wow, this is such a blessing. They have Fuyu persimmons. They mail you a box. It's wonderful. But they're out of season. Their season went pretty quick. So I'm waiting for persimmons, and Costco gets the persimmons. I run to Costco. I find out. I get the persimmons. I buy a whole bunch of these. These are the Fuyu persimmons. They're non-astringent. I remember when I was in California years ago, I got these non-astringent Fuyu persimmons, unlike the ones I grow where you have to wait till they get soft or they taste like chalk. And some people don't even like persimmons because they don't realize that some are astringent and some are not. And if you get one that is and you eat it when it's unripe, when it's hard, it tastes like chalk. And you might think, I don't like persimmons, but if you wait till they get soft, they're amazing. But these Fuyu persimmons, you could eat when they're hard. And I used to get them in California and love them. So when I saw Costco with them, they were wonderful. So this year, I bought them and I ate a couple and it was wonderful. The next day I got a headache and I was like, why do I have a headache? I was trying to think about what I did. I couldn't realize it, but I went back to Costco to get more persimmons. And when I got in the car, I looked at the bag. And the bag said, so I always make sure I get my produce from the United States. Very seldom will I get my produce from outside the United States. Because as questionable as the organic laws are, definitely in another country you don't know what their practices are and what they're doing. There's somewhat regulation here in the United States. And also, if you get it from another country around the world, you know, the shipping time, the time it gets to you, the preservatives that might be added or whatever's done, it's all questionable. So I like to grow my own food is best. I like to buy at local farmers markets best. If I have to buy from the store, definitely, or 99% of the times I want to get it from the United States. Well, this came from the United States, these persimmons, but it said on here in small letters, so small I had to take a picture with my cell phone and look at it to see, and it said, treated with sulfur dioxide for fungal use. Treated with sulfur dioxide for fungal use. Now, usually sulfur dioxide is added to dried fruit to prevent mold and things like that. I've never seen it really on fresh food, even though we know they put stuff on here. And by law, if something is in a package like this, even if it's fresh fruit, it has to say that if it's treated with that, it has to say it's treated with that. Now, if it's a single fruit that's sold just a fruit, it doesn't need to say that. It's not a good law because I want to know what my food's treated with, even if I just get a single fruit. But so you really can't go by that. And I'm normally not a fan of getting fruit in plastic because I don't like to waste the plastic or use more plastic. I do believe not only is it just bad for the environment, but there's still some microplastic poisoning that might affect the food. But regardless, what is sulfur dioxide? It says it's harmless or it's not dangerous unless, and then it says if you have asthma, 5 to 10% of people that have asthma, it might affect them. But it also says some people that are sensitive to it will experience everything from headaches to rashes and other so-called side effects, what I call them direct effects. So regardless, and they also say if they use a small, super small amount, they do not need to label it in a package. So it doesn't mean it's always not in there. So that's another reason why I'm not a big fan of store-bought fruit. But for persimmons, I'll try the store-bought fruit. So I got the store-bought fruit, and I'm going to return these. And I was like, well, what am I going to do for persimmons? Well, I went to a local big box store here in Florida called Costco. And I was very pleased to see not only did I have Fuyu persimmons, I'm not Costco, Publix. Not only did I have Fuyu persimmons, but they also had Hachiya persimmons. Hachiya persimmons are not, are astringent. So these are the sweetest persimmons you will find, but they have to be eaten soft. They cannot be eaten hard or they're like chalk. There's another Fuyu persimmon that they had, which was wonderful. Well, I looked at the label, and the farm was the same farm. So I wanted to call them up and see, do they use sulfur dioxide or anything else that sprays on here? Because they're not labeled organic. Well, I'll reach out again and try to get the owner on here to just learn a little bit more about persimmon farming. And if I can, I'll put that interview on this video. But what he told me was they do sell some organic persimmons that they ship to Trader Joe's. But these persimmons that they ship to Publix, they do not use sulfur dioxide or anything else. So even though they're not labeled organic, they're just no sprays in here or anything else. Now the ground, I'm sure they spray with weed killers and things like this if they're not certified organic. That's one of the reasons why they're not certified. And even if you get the organic and it's next to the ground that's using weed killers and things like this, it's going to come over. So another reason, unless you're on the farm, you don't know, you got to be careful with. But much better than the Costco variety. And the price was comparable with Costco, which was pretty interesting for a big box store because it's usually much cheaper at Costco. So it was a good sign on the Hachiya and also on the Fuyu persimmon. I'm excited. If you're in South Florida, Publix, go and you can get these. And this farm was called Simple Simmons was this one. And I took a picture with my phone, and I blew up the picture, and they have a website, simplesimmons.com, I believe it is, and I got their number, and I called them from the store to ask them. And then I was also saw these. I found these. This is super exciting. I found these at Publix while I was on the phone with one of the owners of the company of the Simple Simmons, and this one's from a Brandt Farm, but they're called Honey Persimmon. I never seen these. It doesn't say on the bag that they're treated with sulfur dioxide. And it was in the same area, it looks like, as the other one. So I asked the owner on the phone about these, and he said, this is his brand also, and they definitely don't use anything. I said, well, why, if you have the Hachiya Persimmons, why do you have them in a bag also? He said, this is a different variety. This is Honey Persimmons. I'm like, well, I never heard of that variety. He said, yes. They look like the Hachiya, a little smaller, but you could eat these soft or hard. I've never seen, personally, a non-astringent persimmon that was big like this. And they don't use it. So I bought these, and even better than the Hachiya was these. Absolutely amazing. I'm actually going to go right now and get some more. Absolutely amazing, and I love them soft, and they just happen to be soft. I guess they were sitting along. I haven't eaten them hard because the ones were soft in the bag. But excellent variety, honeys. Really wonderful, make sure the bag doesn't say they're treated. Now, so that's what I recommend. Again, I'll try to get the owner on the phone and talk about this with him because very nice guy, and he was willing to share the information. So maybe we can get him on the phone and talk about that. But going back to Costco's Persimmons, product of USA, most products in the USA on their fresh produce will not use the sulfur dioxide. They will use it on dried fruit, but not on fresh fruit. So why do they use it on fresh fruit? Well, persimmons specifically might sometimes get moldy spots or black spots. Depending on the weather and the crop, it might not always turn out as well as it appears. So apparently this company normally doesn't use any of the sulfur dioxide, but sometimes they might have to, based on the crop, the weather, could be the weather, whatever it could be. So sometimes they do use it, and they have to label when they use it. So don't give up on Costco. I'm not going to give up on Costco, or even this farm. This farm was Regatta Farms, Regatta Farms. You want to make sure it's grown in the USA, number one, wherever you're getting your produce from, if you're buying them from the store. The closer the better, usually. But look at the bag, look at the labels, call the company up if you have to. It definitely helps to call the company. Now, why do companies use these gases and these sprays and everything else? It preserves coloring. It helps them with mold and crops and things like this. Now, for me, I grow my own fruit. And for give you an example, mangoes. Any mango from another country is treated. Most commercial mangoes are treated with sprays and things like this, so it's really not a treat I want. But when you grow it yourself, a lot of growers use natural mineral sprays like sulfur and some other sprays that help the fruit to not get diseases, so you get a better crop. Now, I'm not against that completely, but I still want as little questionable issues with my food as possible. And I have sprayed my trees, not the fruit. I've sprayed the trees to help them not get diseases. But once the fruit appeared, I would stop spraying. However, there are some growers that continue spraying when the fruit appears. Now, there's a big difference between the toxic chemical sprays that a lot of commercial farmers use versus the natural farmers, at least the ones I know here in South Florida. They're only using like potassium and sulfur and natural mineral sprays. However, they can still, they're still not as best as getting it fresh and natural as possible. And I'm experimenting with not spraying at all this year to see the difference. I'd rather have less of a crop, not no crop, but less of a crop, all natural, with no sprays, than the best crop with sprays. However, if I get no crop or a very poor crop, then I got a question I got to make. But growing yourself and experiment, and there's some more natural things you could use versus unnatural is best. So you want to go to get your stuff, grow it yourself if you can. If you have to buy it from somewhere else, maybe look at local people that are growing on Facebook Marketplace or something and learn about their practices of what they're doing. If you have to go to farmers markets, learn about the farms, maybe go and visit the farm because they're driving from not too far away to begin with to get to the farmers market. So maybe drive out to their farm and meet them and see what they're doing. Ask them these questions. If you are getting something at a store, like I said, I called this company up and they were willing to talk. If they're not willing to talk, that's questionable. But learn about what they're doing. I might even get the owner on the phone and talk to him so you can learn a little bit more about how it works commercially, because things are always different. There are good, strict laws in the United States to make sure there's no funguses and bacteria that are harmful and dangerous. But at the same time, to avoid those fruits from being harmfully sprayed with or to avoid them being create bacteria or something else, they have to spray them, and sometimes it's with harmful things. So keep these things in mind. And it's still not ideal if they're using weed killers on the weeds under the trees because it's questionable. Some people will say, well, it'll get in the fruit on the tree, and some people say not. But again, I'm definitely not using any weed killers or anything like that. So that's still questionable. But there you go. You want to do the best you can do, and but definitely it's your body, your investment, and what you're putting in your body. So I just wanted to give you that update. It's persimmon now. Persimmons will last usually from October to December. Commercially, if you're growing them somewhere that might be a little bit different, so keep that in mind. Persimmons are an amazing food. These are just 3 of the many varieties that they have out there. I know, I don't know if it was Costco or another place that recently had no, it was Sprouts. Sprouts is the local health food store, and they recently had a persimmon called a chocolate persimmon. And I didn't remember checking the bag on that one, but they were delicious, the chocolate persimmons. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to Sprouts later tonight or today, and I'm going to check and see what persimmons, if they have any in stock now. But remember, if it's just sold like this, a fruit by itself, they can have a sticker on them. Always, if the sticker starts off with the number 9, then you know it's organic. But if it doesn't start off with a 9, you're not sure, and they don't have to label it as if it's in a bag. So keep that in mind. And also keep in mind, even if it's organic, now there's this new thing called a peel, which is like a wax or something they put actually on there that doesn't have to meet organic standards, from what I understand. So keep that in mind, or they're fighting for that. Maybe they do, or they're fighting so they won't. But keep that in mind. And we fought really hard for organic standards, at least in the United States, to know for sure what is being sprayed with our food or not. So hopefully those laws will stick up. All right, so there you go. That's some information for you. Thank you for watching, everybody. If you have any comments to put or questions, put them below. All right, everybody. Here is a hard honey or Honey's persimmon, completely hard. If this was a Hachiya, you would never think of eating it like this, but here we go. Wow. You could eat it like a Fuyu persimmon, hard. Amazing. Even sweeter than a Fuyu persimmon. Non-astringent, absolutely amazing. If you're in South Florida, go to Publix and get these honeys. Go to Trader Joe's. I don't know which ones they have organic, but he said they had organic ones as well. Even better. I'm going to go to Trader Joe's and try to get some. But excellent. Make sure it's from the Brandt Farms. And thank you to Brandt Farms for this. See, we got to keep looking, and we learn about new things. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. All right, everybody, I want to give you all an update to this video. It's a couple of weeks later, and Costco got these persimmons in now. I don't know the particular farm, but, well, the farm says Nature's Partner. And the good news is they do not have the sulfur dioxide on these. So back to the way they've always been. And the website here is doyouforyou.com. So they do not have the warning. By law, they have to have the warnings on their bag. So maybe it was an abnormal thing that they had it on the previous batch, because it says normally they don't. And I don't remember it being on previous ones, but the good news is, look for this bag. And it looks different than the previous bag we spoke about. But they do have the Fuyu persimmons at Costco. $5 a bag. Delicious. So, I wanted to give you an update, a positive update. They have these at Costco now. Very good. Great price. And tastes great. This is the owner, one of the co-owners of Brandt Farms in California. And this is Michael. Michael, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very
Glad
good,
to be
Mike.
here. Glad to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you here, Michael. How many acres is your farm? You grow a lot of things. Tell us what you grow and how many acres you have.
Well, we grow peaches, plums, nectarines, a few table grapes, and persimmons, a little bit of citrus here and there, kind of hobbyish. So, all in all, we probably have about 2,000 acres of produce that we either grow or handle for some other small family farms in the area as well.
And what's your growing zone? What growing zone are you in?
We are in the central part of California in the San Joaquin Valley, so pretty nice Mediterranean climate. Probably actually the most productive area in the world when it comes to growing permanent crops.
Nice. So I guess you're too cold for tropical stuff, though, there, right?
We are too cold for tropical. We usually get about eight or 900 chill hours a year during the winter time, which would be hours below 42, 45 degrees. So perfect climate for growing stone fruit and some of the deciduous types of fruits. So yeah, it's we rarely get freezing temperatures. Hence all the navels and stuff that are grown here during the wintertime in our region. Um, the region is also known for major almond production. Lots of table grapes grown in this area. It is the fruit basket of the world for sure.
Do you grow figs?
We do not grow figs, but figs are grown nearby for sure.
So they're growing that climate. And what besides your farm, do you have a personal property where you grow stuff, or you just overwhelmed at work where you don't need to grow trees at home?
No, I don't. I don't. I probably have a little bit of some blackberries and boysenberries in a home garden, and we try and grow some tomatoes and stuff like that. But for the most part, my efforts are all on tree crops, peach plum and nectarine. Those are our biggest items that we grow all year.
Now I know something that grows there that's wonderful. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called white sapote. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
Yeah, that's definitely got to try that. It would grow perfect in your climate, and it can't ship well. It's not a good commercial product, but it's absolutely an amazing local product.
White sapote. Okay,
Yes, yes.
I'll
So,
take a look.
you own this big commercial farm. Did you grow up into the business, or did you start this later on? How'd you get into it?
I did. I'm a third generation farmer. My father and grandfather moved into this area from Oklahoma back in I was probably the early 40s. Um, so I'm third generation. I'm a transplant into the Brandt Farms business. This goes back to, grandparents knowing each other, parents going to school with each other. I decided to come work for Brandt Farms when I graduated college in 1993 and been here ever since. So I'm on my 32nd year and part of the succession plan that was put in place about 15 years ago. So me and one of the Brandt sons are basically now the owners of Brandt Farms, and it's definitely a family affair.
Wonderful. Now, I want to talk specifically about persimmons. I just
Okay.
made a video about this because I we can only grow two persimmons here in South Florida that rarely in South Florida that are tropical that do not need the chill hours. Up in Central Florida, they can grow persimmons that get more chill hours, like the Fuyu and all of the other types of Japanese type persimmons and all of the persimmons. Up in Georgia, I found a farm that grows Fuyu persimmons. That's a great region for growing. But I was recently in the supermarket to buy persimmons. I would go, number one, I would go to Costco to buy persimmons. They have
Hmm.
great persimmons at a good price. I would go there. But I was sad to find on their persimmons, it said it had, I got the bag in the other room, the dioxide. What was it? The chlorine dioxide, did I tell you?
I can't remember. It might have been sulfur dioxide,
Sulfur
which
dioxide,
would
yeah.
which would be which would be really interesting because I don't know of anybody that does that. So,
Yeah, they had
um,
sulfur dioxide, and I don't want to put that in my body. I know it says it's healthy and it's meets their standards. Now I did look and they said it's just sometimes they use it, and I
right,
found other times where they don't, but I don't want to take the chance. So I was continuing to look, and I went to in Florida we have this supermarket chain called Publix.
right,
I found Fuyus there that I was excited to find there, and they were delicious. And I looked at the sticker, and they were your sticker. So the first thing I did was call you up. Well, I called your
right.
farm up, and I got you. It's been amazing to find out if you have this sulfur dioxide on it. And you said no. So,
No,
okay. So besides the Fuyu, you have these other varieties. One's called honey, and one's called Hachiya. Now, Hachiya is the popular one. And then there's the honey, and this was what I made in my video about. I never heard of honey. I have your bag here.
Right.
Now, Hachiya, what's great about it is Fuyu's well, not great about it. Fuyu you have to eat. You can eat soft or hard, but Hachiya you got to wait till it gets soft to eat.
Right.
Although it's astringent,
Yeah.
you have to wait till it gets soft. That's like the varieties we get here in South Florida. You got to wait till they get soft. But
Right.
the honey, I never heard of this. It looks and tastes like a Hachiya, but you can eat it hard or soft.
Right. Yeah. So that's the benefit of the Honeys program is that it's unique in that you can use it however you want. So whether you want to have them soft for pulp for baking or use them when they're hard like an apple, it's definitely a very uh, it's got a lot of usefulness to it. So it's a great piece of fruit for us.
Now, did you invent this variety or was it a common one out there under a different name? Because I never heard of it before and it's absolutely meets all the needs of the consumer because like I said, you can eat it hot or soft and it tastes as good as a Hachiya.
Yeah, it's unique to us. So,
Wow.
yep.
That's amazing. Okay, so with that, are all the seasons the same of all of these persimmons?
Yes.
They're all the
Yeah,
same.
for us, we generally start. There's a number of people in California that will start early on persimmons. We've seen fuyus being picked as early as in September, and we don't know how. There's some early producing regions. There's also some that will potentially treat them with ethylene gas to get them to color earlier. We like to leave them on the tree and wait till they're good and orange on the tree and pick them. So our season starts a little bit later. We're generally about the third week of October is when we start, and we will wrap up. We'll wrap up Hachiyas and Honeys here about next week, which would be the first week of December. And Fuyu persimmons, we can usually carry those through the Christmas season, depending on how well the crop set is. If we have a low set on the crop, it can be we'll run out a little bit earlier. But persimmons can be somewhat alternate bearing. So some years we have big crops, some years we have lighter crops. So this year tends to be a little bit of a lighter crop year. So we'll be wrapping up Hachiyas and Honeys probably first week of December and Fuyus probably around the Christmas time.
Wonderful, everybody. Get to your local supermarket, Publix, Trader Joe's, and look for the Brandt Farms logo. Farms.
Yeah.
And do you have
Brandt
another
Farms.
logo, or is that the main logo?
That's our logo, Brandt
Okay.
Farms.
And
Yep,
definitely get them. And Michael, thank you for joining us on the show today and appreciate all you're
absolutely.
doing there.
It's been a blast. Enjoyed talking with you.
Okay, everybody, depending when you're watching this, there's still time to go to your local Publix or Trader Joe's and get these honey persimmons, as you see on the screen here. And you can also get their Fuyu persimmons for the next month or so at the local Publix market. I highly recommend it. Definitely check out persimmons while they're in season in your local markets from wherever you can get them. Just make sure they're clean. They don't have any toxic sprays in them. But I was very glad to interview the owner of this company. If you'd like to see the full interview, you can go to my fruit tree channel, Fruitful Trees, and on that channel I'll have the full extended interview with Michael from Brandt Farms. And thank you for watching. Please put your comments below and let me know if you've tasted persimmons before and what is your favorite one. Thank you.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show.